Hi, this is Jim Gibson. Thank you for joining me today in my channel. Very much appreciated. Now, I had a wonderful time last week. I was with my daughter and her wonderful husband, very gracious family. I stayed with them for well over 2 weeks. And they have four beautiful grandsons who I very much appreciate. And you can tell by the smile on my face that I enjoy my time with this family. And so what I decided to do is that I wanted to teach my grandchildren about economics. I know, doesn't that sound boring? Stick with me, because you might be interested in what I did, and it's not going to be boring. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I asked my daughter and son-in-law, is it possible that I could take over dessert for the next couple nights? And they said yes, of course. And so what I told the grandchildren, I said, tonight we're going to have free market dessert. And they got all excited. They don't know what free market dessert was. Now they know, but they didn't know back then what it was. And they're all excited. What's the special dessert we're going to have tonight? And I said, tonight we're going to have it right after dinner. So right after dinner, I told them each to get a bowl, big bowl. Please, each of you get a large bowl. And so they each got a large bowl, and we all sat around in the table there, and we had a great time. They were all filled with excitement and bouncing up and down. What is it, Grandpop? What are we going to do? And I said, what we're going to do is we're going to distribute chocolate. And so I had these Dove chocolate squares. They were small. I bought them because they were small. That's what I wanted. I wanted something small. I didn't want to fill them up with one Hershey bar, things like that. And then I got a bunch of these little Hershey bars, as you could see. I got those. And then I got other type of gummy bears and other type of candy. Whoopers, I think they call them. I got them and everything else. So I decided what I would do is I would put candy in each bowl. And they were all excited, man. You know, candy for dessert, this is fantastic. And so, you know, as they would eat the candy and things like that, I would add a little more. And then I said, you know something, this is the free market, and I am the government. And so I am not going to interfere with any of your decisions. So, but if you don't like the candy you have, or you prefer another type of candy that you don't have, then you can trade amongst yourselves, as long as it's an honest trade, as long as both people involved in the trading of assets here agree to it. And they said, absolutely. So some of them said, you know, I really like the Dove things. I don't have these little Dove chocolates anymore. You can see them there. But I have 2 Hershey's, and I'd rather have a Dove than a Hershey. Would you trade one Dove candy for a Hershey? And all of a sudden it caught on, and they were trading amongst themselves and everything else. And we just had a fantastic time. They were great. They really enjoyed the food and everything else. And that was the end of day 1. Now, day 2, we were going to do the free market, start with the free market, and we're going to go to socialism. And I explained to them, they didn't know what socialism was. I don't know, frankly, if they even cared at that point what socialism was. But I gave them the bowls, and I gave them, you know, the candy and things like that, all different types of candy. And I made sure that each bowl had a unique type of theme when it came to candy. And so the kids started trading amongst themselves and everything else, because some of them didn't like any of the candy they had, and they wanted to trade for the candy they didn't have. So what I did at that point, I said, okay, now I am a socialist government. And, you know, I noticed that this one bowl over here is full of a lot of candy. And there's another bowl that hardly has anything in it. And the reason why it had almost nothing in it was because that young man was eating his candy. And I said, I don't think that's fair, that these people have a bunch of candy in there. And of course, the child that said that said, well, I haven't been eating mine. I said, doesn't matter, you got a lot. And he goes, I've been saving it. I said, doesn't matter, you have a lot of candy in there, and your brother hardly has anything. So I'm going to take from you guys, the top 2, I'm going to take from you guys, and I'm going to tax you on that. So this is called taxing. So I reached in and I grabbed some candy from the biggest bowl, and then some candy from the next biggest bowl, and I put it in a pile. Then I said, you know, it's not fair that your 2 brothers hardly have anything, because now you're all equal. or maybe I didn't take everything you had in the top bowls, but the two smaller bowls hardly have anything. So I'm going to take this tax money and I'm going to distribute it to the people who hardly have anything. And throughout the trading and everything else, I would grab a little bit of each bowl. And I said, it's just taxes. It's just taxes. No big thing. You can afford it. So why not? And the people who had the most, who were saving it and not eating it, started eating their candy. And at the same time, didn't like the fact that I was taking their candy. But they all enjoyed the candy. They all had some sort of candy. And of course, we're dealing with 6-year-old through 12-year-olds. So we're not dealing with something that's a deep thought in their mind. They're just getting candy. They didn't like day 2 as much as they liked day 3. I mean, day 1. So now we move to day 3. Day 3, we started out with the free market. They did trading amongst themselves and everything else. And I waited a while, and they were enjoying themselves and everything else. And I said, stop. I said, I am now the government. And this is a communist government, which really just means dictatorship. That's all it means. Communism always turns into dictatorship. And if you don't think so, then you're not reading history, okay? Because it always turns into a dictatorship. So what I said was, I'm going to take all your candy. So I took all your candy, and I put it in a big pile. I put it in a big pile. And then I decided to give them one piece of one type of candy. And I think they're Whoopers, they're called, little chocolate balls that, they taste pretty good. One in each thing. And I started eating the other candy. And I started eating more Whoopers. And they all looked at me kind of puzzled, and they said, is that it, Grandpa? I said, listen, I am a communist dictator. I have decided what's best in your bowl. And I have distributed it as most equally as I possibly can. Now, the fact that I'm eating candy, I get the chance to eat this candy because I'm more equal than others. And I am the dictator, so I can live high on the hog. And of course, I'm thinking myself, North Korea, that little fat pudgy guy that lives unbelievable things that he gets while he tells his people when they're short of food that they should eat the bark on the tree. That's communism. Or Venezuela, where people are going hungry, but the dictator is not. He has plenty of food and plenty of resources and things like that. Communism always, 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 always ends up in a dictatorship, always hurts the people. And so that was it for the day. One Whooper! And what was interesting was the next night, the 6-year-old was going to protest. He said, I want the free market back. No more of this communism stuff. So to make a long story short, I think I got my point across, and you can use my idea if you would like. But isn't it true? The free market gives you the most benefits. It's given us prosperity in America. It is unbelievable, unsurpassed anywhere else in the world. There's no communist country that even comes close to the free market ever. And the free market's been around millennials. I mean, even back in Jesus' time, it was a free market. Of course, they had to pay tax on their things, but it was still a free market. Free market is when the government does not interfere in the marketplace, but allows people to set their own prices and allows people to decide who they're going to buy from. And sometimes it's based on price. In fact, most times it's going to be based on price or benefits. So that's the free market. It always benefits everyone. And it's a wonderful thing to have. Socialism is a step towards communism. That's all it is. It's just a step towards communism. At first, it seems fantastic. We take this money from all the rich people and we share it amongst ourselves. And you know what happens? You run out of rich people. You don't have the money anymore. And it's horrible. It's a horrible system. And eventually, everyone has a lower cost of living. Not cost of living. Everyone has a lower lifestyle. Eventually, lifestyle goes down. The value of your, what you do every day. You don't get the variety that you normally want, and your taxes are so high that you stop people from being motivated and starting businesses and things like that. And then communism comes in, and I always remember some of the history books about the Great Leap Forward. If you don't know what the Great Leap Forward is in China, then you need to study it, where communism came in and confiscated all the land from all the farmers and distributed it to all the what they would call peasants. The only trouble is the peasants had absolutely no knowledge on how to run a farm. And what happened to them was there was a great famine that killed 50 million people. And Russia had a similar thing, a similar effect. The standard of living drops under socialism and severely drops under communism. Do some investigation about Venezuela if you don't agree with me, and tell me what you think. The richest South American country, and now is one of the poorest South American countries, now that it voted itself into communism and they can't get rid of that stupid dictator. Hope you had a great day. Feel free to take my idea, use it in your family. It's a great way to teach economics. I personally love economics. I read all the economic books, and I learned a lot about life and about economics and about how to apply it in my business. So take it for what it's worth. Use it any way you like. I thought you'd enjoy a lighthearted look at how to teach 4 homeschoolers about basic economics. The thing that I really liked the most is when the youngest child said, "No more communism." He wanted the free market, and he wanted it that night. Thank you for watching. You have a great day.